Disrespect rarely starts openly. It begins subtly, a joke at your expense, a dismissive tone, or a comment disguised as humor. Many people ignore these signs, believing they're not serious, but over time the behavior grows stronger. When disrespect is ignored, it is silently accepted. Those who understand human behavior know that respect isn't given through kindness alone. It is protected through boundaries. How you respond to early disrespect shapes how others treat you and signals what behavior you tolerate. Most disrespect isn't personal at first. It's a test of your limits. If the test succeeds, it continues. If it fails, the dynamic changes. The real question is how you choose to respond. Control your reaction. When confronted with disrespect, the most common mistake is emotional reaction. Anger, defensiveness, or over-explanation often reduce a person's influence rather than strengthen it. Emotional responses signal vulnerability and make the situation chaotic. A more effective response is controlled silence. Silence in this context does not mean ignoring the situation. It means withdrawing emotional energy from the interaction. You do not laugh it off. You do not pretend it didn't happen. You do not immediately explain how you feel. Instead, you create a pause, a break in the expected flow of interaction. This pause changes the power dynamic. Disrespect usually thrives on reaction. It feeds on laughter, argument, or visible discomfort. When none of these appear, the behavior loses momentum. The other person becomes uncertain, and uncertainty shifts control. Strategic silence communicates that something has changed. It signals awareness, control, and emotional discipline. The interaction no longer follows their script. Expose rather than attack. After establishing control, the next step is clarity. Instead of retaliating with insults or confrontation, respond with calm questions that expose the behavior. Simple responses such as, "Did you mean to say that? Could you clarify what you meant? That sounded personal. What exactly are you saying?" These responses accomplish several things at once. They acknowledge the behavior without emotional escalation. They place responsibility back on the speaker. Most importantly, they make the disrespect visible. Many people rely on subtle disrespect because it allows them to deny intention. When asked to repeat or explain themselves, they often retreat or soften their position. Their confidence weakens because their behavior is now being observed directly. This approach does not create conflict, it creates accountability. And accountability naturally produces respect. Consistency defines your reputation. One strong response is not enough. People observe patterns, not isolated moments. If boundaries are enforced once but ignored later, others interpret that inconsistency as weakness. Consistency transforms a single reaction into a reputation. When disrespect occurs, the relationship must shift. Communication becomes more formal. Access becomes more limited. Energy becomes selective. This shift does not require dramatic confrontation or explanation. It is demonstrated through behavior. You may become less available. Your tone may become more direct. Your engagement may become minimal. The change is subtle but noticeable. Over time, others recognize the pattern. Disrespect results in distance. This understanding reshapes how they approach you. Respect grows not from intimidation, but from predictable consequences. The power of social consequence. In social environments, how you handle public disrespect influences how others perceive you. A composed response communicates self-control and strength. A reactive response suggests instability. When disrespect occurs in front of others, your response becomes a message to the entire group. Calm firmness demonstrates that your boundaries are not negotiable. You do not need to argue or dominate the conversation. Instead, you simply refuse to participate in behavior that undermines you. you withdraw warmth, redirect attention, or end the interaction. This form of social consequence is powerful because it teaches observers how to behave. People naturally adjust their tone, words, and behavior around individuals who consistently maintain boundaries. Reputation is built through repeated demonstration of self-respect. Understanding the motivation behind disrespect. Disrespect is often driven by insecurity, competition, or a desire for dominance. Many individuals test boundaries to determine who they can influence or control. When viewed from this perspective, disrespect becomes information rather than a personal attack. It reveals the mindset, intentions, and emotional state of the other person. By observing rather than reacting, you gain insight into their motivations. You begin to recognize patterns, attention-seeking behavior, insecurity, or attempts to assert control. This understanding allows you to respond strategically instead of emotionally. Escalating without aggression. Some individuals persist even after boundaries are established. They may attempt more subtle forms of disrespect, such as passive comments, exclusion, or indirect criticism. In these situations, escalation must remain controlled and deliberate. Instead of becoming louder or more aggressive, the response becomes colder and more distant. Engagement decreases. Interaction becomes minimal. Attention is withdrawn. This form of escalation communicates loss of access. It shows that disrespect results not in conflict, but in removal. For many people, social exclusion is more powerful than confrontation. It removes influence and eliminates opportunity, creating psychological uncertainty. Another powerful element of personal influence is unpredictability. When individuals cannot easily predict your reactions, they behave more cautiously. This does not mean acting randomly or manipulatively. It means responding thoughtfully rather than habitually. You do not react automatically. You choose when and how to respond. Predictable behavior invites exploitation. Controlled unpredictability encourages respect. When people are uncertain about your response, they become more mindful of their behavior. This awareness alone often prevents disrespect from occurring. Presence over popularity. Many people believe respect comes from being liked. In reality, respect often comes from presence, the sense of stability and control someone brings into a situation. Presence is not created through dominance or loudness. It emerges from calm confidence, measured speech, and emotional discipline. Individuals with strong presence speak deliberately, observe carefully, and respond thoughtfully. Their reactions are controlled rather than impulsive. This consistency creates an atmosphere of certainty around them. Others adjust their behavior accordingly. Respect is not demanded. It is felt. Selective access as a boundary. One of the strongest responses to repeated disrespect is reducing access. You choose who receives your attention, time, and engagement. This decision is not driven by anger, but by self-respect. Individuals who repeatedly violate boundaries gradually lose influence in your life. Selective access communicates value. It shows that your energy is limited and must be earned through mutual respect. Over time, this approach transforms your social environment. You interact primarily with individuals who respect your boundaries. Mercy without dependence. Sometimes individuals recognize their mistake and attempt to repair the relationship. They apologize, change their behavior, or attempt to regain favor. In these moments, the strongest response is calm neutrality. There is no need for hostility or excessive warmth. You simply maintain your boundaries while allowing behavior to improve. This balanced response demonstrates independence. It shows that your actions are not driven by emotion, but by principle. Respect is maintained without creating unnecessary conflict. Transforming your reputation. Over time, consistent boundary enforcement shapes how others perceive you. People begin to associate your presence with clarity, discipline, and self-respect. They become more careful in their words. They adjust their behavior. They respect your space. This transformation does not require aggression or dominance. It results from consistent self-control and clear boundaries. Your reputation becomes your protection. Self-regulated respect. The highest level of influence occurs when respect becomes automatic. Others do not need reminders or correction because they already understand your standards. You no longer need to defend yourself or prove your worth. Your behavior communicates your value clearly. Disrespect becomes rare because its consequences are known. This state is not achieved through force or intimidation. It emerges from emotional discipline, consistency, and self-respect. The real power isn't in clapping back. It's in staying calm, enforcing the boundary, and making disrespect too expensive to repeat. If you start moving like this, you won't need to demand respect. People will feel it before you speak. If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.